did is I kind of measured it. Measured the distance from the hole to the larger hole there on the left. And I kind of mimicked the same thing, and I got a X marks the spot. I used the piece that I took out to measure it and check if that was close, and it's pretty darn close. Alright, I threw in the old seat mount, which you can see is all jacked up, because I took it out all jacked up. But if you look in there, it lines up to X marks the spot. Not gonna lie, that's a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Alright, before I install these pieces, just not by experience, but by somebody else's experience, I had a problem with stuff that came from Taiwan. Meaning this is not a primer paint. It's just like a protectant for the metal. So I'm going to go ahead and strip off as much as I can, and then go ahead and put 2-part epoxy on there, so I know it's, you know, sealed in some way. Alright, everything kind of looks shiny on both sides. The reason for that is I'm going to go ahead and paint the areas that I'm going to be working in. Showed you earlier that I put a hole in there for 7/8. I put everything on, lined it up, and it was off, so I welded it back up, and I got to recut it, but I'll do that after I paint. I prepped all the parts pretty much. I go ahead and paint those 2-part epoxy. After I get done painting, I'm gonna put, I gotta buy it still, it's a rubberized compound to it's a sound deadening material. So it's going to be underneath this. I might as well put it on, because it's going to go on all over the inside of the car. But right now I'm going to go ahead and prep for paint. 2-part epoxy. Alright, it's all 2-part epoxy rattle can primer. Primered up. I missed a couple spots over there. That's okay. Bad. I was trying something new I got from Eastwood. 2K aerosol spray epoxy primer. Yeah. Doesn't look bad. We'll see how it works. Looks good. And I need to leave the room because the paint's making me lightheaded. Over, and that's the top side of these. And these are the supports that go underneath those. Hey, just a real quick thing on the epoxy primers rattle can. I used 2 cans on what I did, and it goes quick. It only lasts 48 hours after you mix the material, so just heads up. But you know, it's great. I didn't have to hook up any of the paint stuff, and I got epoxy primer on there, and good to go. And like I said, on the inside of the car, I need to find like lizard skin or something I can put down before I put the mounts on, so that way that's covered as well, and we have less sound vibrating through the car. I'm going to do the rest of the car floor, but just not right now. Alright, here's a little update. What I did is this area right here is underneath the seat mount right there, and it's not going to be touched by anything. I just put a rubberized coat of, it's for the undercoating of the car and your wheel wells, but I wanted to put some kind of rubberized sound deadening material in there. So that's what I used. We'll let that dry, then we'll go ahead and weld on the seat mounts. Alright, what I've been doing is I scratched off where the 2-part epoxy was, and I put weld through primer, and I did it over here on the piece I'm going to weld to the floor. and that's the primer I used. All right, just got done grinding both sides. Don't look bad. It's not perfect, but everything's welded on top. I have to spin the car and weld on the bottom, and then I'm going to grind it down, then spin it back, and I'm going to weld the top of the seat mount on. All right, I went ahead and put a little coat of paint over where I ground down, and I went ahead and put holes where I'm going to weld. I laid it over it, and I'm going to go ahead and scratch off the paint and put weld through primer wherever there's a dot. All right, the driver's side's all welded in, ground down. Looks a little rough, but I'll square it away later. We're going to move on to the next side and weld in the passenger side. All right, just got done grinding everything. Well, actually welding and grinding everything down on the top here. So what that means is both sides are welded in and ground down and ready for a little coat of primer paint just to cover it up a little bit. All right, there it is. I just threw a little primer on it just to cover up all the shiny stuff and all that. It doesn't look bad. It's pretty solid. Like I said, I'm not a great welder, but I am a guy that uses a welder. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and call that done. And we're going to move on to the next. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time on some other area of the car.